Kansas rental laws outline the rules in the state regarding lease agreements and eviction. We'll overview the laws for standard lease agreements, month-to-month lease agreements, and evictions. Standard lease agreement. A standard lease outlines the terms between a landlord and tenant for the renting of property. A standard lease is commonly a one-year fixed period and is the most widely used rental contract. Month-to-month lease. A month-to-month lease is an agreement between a landlord and tenant that renews automatically every month. The agreement terminates upon notice by either party. In Kansas, the notice must be provided by the landlord or tenant a minimum of 30 days prior to termination as required by law. Required disclosures. In Kansas, the landlord is required to provide the following disclosures as part of the lease agreement. Identification. The landlord must provide tenants with the name and address of persons authorized to manage the property, whether it be a management company or the owner themselves. Move-in checklist. Within the first 5 days of tenancy, the landlord and tenant must conduct a walkthrough of the premises and itemize existing damages on the property. Landlord access. In Kansas, the landlord must give tenants reasonable notice before entering the property for repairs or other non-emergency reasons. The property must only be accessed during reasonable hours. Security deposit laws. In Kansas, the landlord can charge a maximum of 1 month's security if the property is unfurnished and 1.5 months if it is furnished. After termination of the lease, the money must be returned within 30 days. Eviction laws. There are 4 legally accepted causes for eviction in Kansas. Non-payment of rent. If the tenant is late on rent and has lived on the property for less than 3 months, the landlord can issue a 3-day notice to pay or quit. This gives the tenant 3 days to pay the rent in full, along with any penalties, or vacate the property. If they do neither, the landlord may be forced to seek an eviction from the court. Non-payment of rent. If the tenant is late on rent or has lived on the property for more than 3 months, the landlord can issue a 10-day notice to pay or quit. This gives the tenant 10 days to pay the rent in full or leave the property. Non-compliance. If the tenant breaks any portion of the lease other than late rent, the landlord may give the tenant 7 days to either comply with the lease or vacate the property. Second non-compliance. If the tenant violates their lease in the same way a second time within a 6-month time frame, the landlord can issue a 30-day notice to quit without an option to cure.